Anderson. We've got a big case here. Where have you been?
So in my previous videos, I'll go over the differences between Desmond and Sophie and how it's a result of parenting surrounded by ideology, particularly political ideology. Well, I wanted to point out that in that video that this will affect your kids in a very sinister and deep way. Affect them so much that they may do mean things to one another. Because bullying is a part of growing up, unfortunately, and it's a direct result of the parents behind it. Bullying tends to not live in a vacuum. Usually it's the kids taking out their frustrations on other kids they think they can overpower. Other times they're just malicious, and they think they can bully people into submission. Like a tyrant, basically. Somebody in the pecking order that thinks they're better than everyone else. They don't last long. The ones that are taking out on everyone else that they can look for people that are weaker than them to target, knowing full well that the ones that they're stronger than them they avoid. They won't bully the jocks, as an example. They might bully the band nerd. Well, the result goes to the kids in a very profound way. And so what do you imagine when somebody puts out this subject of, whiteness, and how it's whiteness that's the problem, and whiteness is an oppressive force that oppresses all minorities or some shit like that? What do you think happens when that kind of shit gets put in the heads of children? I'll let you guess, since I just talked about it. It's not a pleasant thing. So much so that somebody's going to get hurt. Well, I bring to you a story that demonstrates what I'm talking about.
Their plan is clear now.
A 9-year-old boy was found hanged because he's bullied for being white. Now, what do you imagine these kids that bullied him said to him to get him to hang himself? Well,
I am dumbfounded.
This is from the Daily Mail in the UK. So here's the virtue signals, as they put it. A boy of 9 was found hanged when believed to have killed himself after he was bullied for being white by an Asian gang at school. When they say Asian, they usually mean Pakistani Muslim. That's usually, at least from what I've seen from other creators, when they say Asian, it's Pakistani Muslim. It's basically those groups that are imported from countries and decide to put their culture into Europe, into the UK, rather than integrate. And this is how you conquer people. That's one way. It's a very subtle way that doesn't require violence. You just overpopulate, and then you take over. Eventually, you may have to get violent to completely overthrow, but they're not after that. They want to bring their culture of violence into the UK. Well, here you go. Thought to be one of the youngest children in the UK to commit suicide was discovered in his bedroom after being tormented for months. They said he was threatened by a plastic knife by one of these kids, who warned him the next time it'll be a real one. A plastic knife. I guess the UK police are now going to ban plastic knives rather than address the real problem. No, it's the plastic knife's fault. Just like it's a gun's fault. It's always the inanimate object's fault rather than the person behind the fucking handle. He also allegedly told by another pupil that all white people should be dead. Well, we've heard this on Twitter a few times, right? In fact, wasn't the New York Times the one that hired that nice young lady that said all white people should die? I do believe so. They went to the school and tried to stop the bullying by going through the administration. The administration said, sorry, can't do anything about it. And yeah. This will be in the link in the description below. I'm not going to read all the way through it because it's a tragic death. It's disgusting.
Master, well, can you tell me who has right on their side?
Right is right, wrong is wrong. Who is in the right or who is in the wrong cannot be judged without proper knowledge.
Now, I know the plural of anecdote is not evidence, but this is an extreme case. Yes, I realize that. But the eventuality of bullying from this toxic freaking ideology that somebody put forward as reality is this. That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to see bullying. You're going to see death. Kids are going to kill themselves. Somebody's going to get violent. You're going to bring the race war to bullying high school and junior high kids. Good job. Good job. Because you decided to flip the script, essentially, because that's really what it is. It's no longer the black people being actually discriminated against or oppressed or being violently targeted. No, it's flipped. And wasn't it last year that 4 U.S. high school students, or were they junior high? I believe high school, kidnapped a mentally disabled white kid and tortured him for 2 days? Because he was white. Oh, yeah. Don't forget they sprinkled on there, fuck Trump, to boot. You can't forget that part, right? So, what do you think is the solution for this? This toxic white bullshit that we hear in the media needs to stop. It needs to stop now because it's causing death. It's bringing people to tears. It's torturing children. It's making kids hang themselves. I don't think this is appropriate in any way, shape, or form. It's going to turn into bullying. You give them a tool, they'll use it. You give a person a tool with malicious intent, they'll use it for malicious intent. You give a person for constructive criticism, they may use it to better themselves. Whiteness is a concept that demonizes white people. There is no constructive method for this whatsoever. It may be useful in white supremacy. Not really, because that's not going to convince them. All it's going to do is solidify their idea that you're targeting white people. That really is all the end result that's going to ever come out of that. So now we have a kid that's hanged themselves in the UK because of him being white. We had torture victims. There's been more than one, by the way, of a little kid by black people because he was white. Where do you think this is going to end? Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to end up dead because you're targeting white people. Now, I've frequently said this before, race is pointless. You try to evaluate somebody's identity and affirm it, and your racial identity and your sexual orientation identity and your made-up bullshit identity is all that you care about. You're shallow. You're pathetic. You're worthless. You're trying to stand out amongst a crowd of everybody that looks like you by trying to say that what you look like is the most important thing. It's ironic, it's hypocritical, and it's stupid. The reason why I stand out amongst my peers is because I'm intelligent. I hate to throw that out there. It's conceited, yes, I know, but it's true. I stand out there because I went from not graduating in high school, living on the streets, to making real money and a PhD. I went from nothing to something. That's why I stand out. And all that knowledge that I accumulated over the last 40 years of my life applies. I've been through hell, and I came out on top. That's what stands me out. What stands you out? Genuinely curious? You can put it in the comments below if you like. I got a whole book, possibly, to write about bibliography, but I don't see a point in doing that until my life is actually over, which won't be for quite some time, I don't think. Anyways, I thought I'd bring another tragic story to the mix of this bullshit. The one that we saw previous, Desmond versus Soph, is the trans issue. Demonizing straight people in favor of 0.1% of the population, or less, actually, that has the highest suicide rate amongst everything, even over depression, by the which I've had. Yeah, this stuff needs to stop. And until The educators who put this shit forward get it through their head that all they're doing is not fighting against xenophobia, racism, and hate. They're creating it. They're creating xenophobia, racism, and hate. Not destroying it, they're creating it. That's the irony of their fucking situation. All they do is preach about race. What's the result? Racism. That's why I'm against diversity and inclusion. I have another video planned for that little beast, and to show you how some companies have a top-down approach, meaning they're going to go through senior management, senior leadership, executive leadership, and push race realism down on everyone else. It's going to be fun. See you next time.
Buddha will come to you. It is destined he will call you, and sooner or later you will become enlightened. Buddha be praised.